Hey everyone, StarCraft here again, and today I'm going to be talking about a annual. Usually annuals can always be little done-in-one stories, like this one is. Sometimes they can tie into an event that's going on, but this particular one, it's so heartwarming of a story. Why is that? You'll see once we reach the end. Let's dive right in. This story, for all intents and purposes, is about Alfred. Alfred and Pennyworth, Bruce Wayne's butler. And we open up with Alfred waking up. And he getting word about, this is the day he got word about what happened to Thomas and Martha. One phone call changed his life forever. He quickly hurries and gets dressed and makes his way to the crime scene. Once there, a cop tries to tell him, you need to come down to the coroner's office and identify the victims. But Alfred says they are the two most prominent figures in the city. Anyone can identify them. He has far more issues and responsibilities to take care of, as we see a traumatized Bruce Wayne nearby. We then see Bruce is just a wreck that night. He feels like the mansion is so empty and that he feels so alone. But Alfred assures him he's going to stay there. He's going to be there whenever he needs him. We then cut to many years later, the present day, as a different phone call comes to him. For this time, from Bruce as Batman, basically telling him he's coming back home for a little bit. And while that's going on, he's been dealing with this whole issues of a drone bomber attacking. Alfred is getting himself prim and proper, and basically telling Bruce, I made your bed. I noticed that your bed has not been touched. In other words, indicating that Bruce hasn't slept at all. Even then making a bit of a joke, maybe a bit of a British humor, I'm not sure, about how he ate the mint he left on his pillow. Yes, Alfred is one of those type of butlers who will do all this stuff even when it's not necessary. He ate it as a passive-aggressive sign and a way of saying he should actually use his bed. But he felt his aggressive may be too passive, so he then basically cut to the chase and tells Batman, you have the flu. You need to rest. But Batman being Batman, he is still going and basically just saying, noted. Alfred then is talking to himself or thinking to himself. I'm not sure who he's talking to exactly, but he's basically making it clear why does he look after him so much. And Alfred's answer, because he needs him. He needs him and he relies on him a lot. When Batman is worried about the world, Alfred is making sure he still checks his pocket for his wallet and keys, doing any of the trivial stuff, especially as Bruce Wayne, as we're seeing him making the phone calls to make the usual excuses for Bruce, as well as make him food. In this case, chicken noodle soup. When Batman shows up, he starts to explain the threat he's dealing with. And it's an interesting one. A UAV or drone pilot who usually was kept away from what his attacks were doing. But then, at one point, he did find out through the news sources, and he put two and two together, and his mind snapped. He then became the drone, where he was basically planning on attacking anyone involved with making these UAVs as payback. And Alfred is understanding. He knows this is too dangerous of a task to tell him to sleep. But instead, Alfred tells him he should at the very least eat something while he's gone. Of course, Batman is asking, you want me to take a hot bolt suit in the jet? Alfred, being the resourceful type, tells him, no, sir. Instead, I should be giving you a flask. It's a thermos. That way, you can eat with one hand while fighting crime. And I understand that a thermos would rather ruin the image, but I won't tell any of your major villains. I just love Alfred so much. Then, while Batman is gone, Alfred is going back to doing his usual things. Fixing up the costumes, any suits, working on any of the tech, all the while reminiscing, and yes, even putting a mint on the pillow. And Batman, it looks like he actually is eating from the thermos. I'm impressed. You would usually think that Batman would just put it aside and not think about it. But here, he actually is doing good on what Alfred had asked. Then an attack happened, what seemed to be an abandoned building. Batman then realizes that there's a body down there, so he goes down to investigate, thinking it might have been one of the people he was planning on attacking. But no, it's the drone himself, faking it, as he stabs Batman right in the abdomen and starts to fight him and beat on him. Batman starts to get and gets the upper hand. Of course, he's Batman, and leaves him there for the police to deal with. But the stab was way too much, as he's starting to lose a lot of blood. He then ends up calling Alfred, telling him he needs a pickup. He can't make it to the Batwing. Alfred grabs a spare mask and hurries to the Batmobile and drives on over. It's a pair of thugs ready to mug him, but Alfred walks right up and basically, he takes him down. Not as hardcore as Batman would do. In fact, he ends up hurting his arm and taking a concussion. That mask isn't probably a serious mask, but he's still able to take it out and tells them, leave now, before someone else much more well-versed in giving a thrashing does so. He then gets Batman into the Batmobile and drives off, Batman losing consciousness. He then puts the car on autopilot as he tries to help patch him up, but realizing it's not enough. He ends up calling Leslie Tompkins to meet him at the Batcave as Batman completely loses consciousness. Leslie, he goes there and picks him up, drops him off as Leslie and him take her in. One thing I should add is, it's quite clear Leslie Tompkins here is not the old woman that she used to be in the old comics. She's more based off of her Gotham incarnation, which isn't a bad thing. I think in a way this kind of works. It does throw a little bit off about her being there when Bruce's parents died, but I can still believe it if she's on the older side but still looking very attractive. I mean, hey, if Marissa Tomei can be able to work out with Aunt May, why can't that work here with Leslie? Anyway, and Bruce is patched up. He'll make a recovery. His arm is still not doing very well, but he's asleep at least. Of course, Leslie then points out to Alfred, what about you? And he is being very stoic. Leslie makes the very good point that Alfred, he must have rubbed out more on Bruce than he thought. Yeah, she's basically saying so much of Bruce's stubbornness and able to just ignore his own issues for those around him, he got that from Alfred. She even looks him over, said, you suffered a concussion, you're not looking very well, you need to rest. But Alfred is saying, all it takes is one phone call to change everything. Then very next day, it's still in the evening, and Alfred is asleep. Bruce wakes up, and Leslie basically tells him he needs to rest, and you put so much worry and weight on him, whether you intend to or not. And then she even tells him, do you know what tomorrow is? So the next day, Alfred wakes up. Looks like from a nightmare. But Bruce is there. Burn the crumpet. The Dark Knight could not make crumpet. And the joke isn't lost on him. Alfred is then thinking, isn't it time for you to go out on patrol? But Batman says, it is patrol time, but I'm not going anywhere. I need to rest, and I would worry you if I went out in my condition. So I've since had Cassandra and Duke do it for me. He then decides and tells them, you don't have to work it all day, just lay down and rest while I do the same. And Alfred just simply asks, why is today so special? And in one of those clever uses of the end credits, where we find out Tom Taylor and Otto Schmidt worked on this, we get the title that gives us our answer. Father's Day. This is such an incredible story. Very well written. I love it when Alfred is the center, and putting a focus on this. Yes, he got in on the action, but it's not like they put him way over his head, or if it be he's overly qualified. I prefer an Alfred who is loyal, dedicated, can come in when need to, but he's not the uber badass who can be just as hardcore as the Batman. Not saying that there's anything against that, but for what it is, this is a lovely story. And it was a reminder how Tom Taylor, when he's not putting his politics into everything, is an incredible good writer. Funny enough, it seems to be a lot of his DC work that seems to be the less political, but I digress. I highly recommend this book. Check it out when you can, and get a good enjoyment out of it. Not required reading, but for what it is, it's a mini classic in my eyes. Catch you all tomorrow. Take care.